Okay, sorry about that little glitch there. My timer ran out. But so timeliness again refers to how recent a story is. We don't care about old news. It's no longer interesting and it no longer serves any purpose for us. So we care about new, updated, and exciting information. Examples of timeliness: what happened today trumps last week's news. Updates on conditions, charges, investigations add timeliness to older news. If there was an accident on 95 this morning, you care about that accident because it may affect how you're getting to work. So you turn on the news to see if there are any accidents happening today or that have happened today. You don't care about accidents that happened maybe a week ago, right? Stimulus check. Maybe you're somebody who got to benefit from the stimulus checks that were given out a couple months ago. Everybody's waiting for another round of stimulus checks, so we care about the newest information regarding the stimulus checks. Or maybe your parent or guardian got a stimulus check. Everyone's waiting to see if we will be getting another one. And of course here, we all want to know when the newest iPhone's coming out, the newest phones, newest gadgets. We care about all the newest stuff. So again, when I ask you guys to do your assignment, which again, I'm giving that to you next class, you're going to be asked to find an example for timeliness. Things that are new, updated, and recent gives value to those new stories. Okay? Proximity. Proximity refers to how close something is to you. Okay? Nearness refers to the nearness to the audience. Okay? We care about things that are happening around us. Okay? It can be both physically and emotionally. But for now, I just want you guys to think about physical. People care about things that are happening around them and their communities. Okay? We don't care about things happening in Oklahoma. We don't care about things happening in California. We care about things happening in South Florida. So stories regarding South Florida become valuable to us because we live in South Florida. Stories that are happening in South Florida affect us. Okay? Even more specifically, any story involving Northeast High School. We all care about stories happening at Northeast because we attend Northeast High School. We don't care about things that are happening at other schools. So, depending on where you live, your proximity to the news story will make it valuable to you. Okay? You may recall a couple years ago there was a Zika outbreak. Zika was a different kind of virus that did get under control fairly quickly. But it was happening in a couple of spots around the country, but mostly in South Florida was where the biggest outbreak of Zika was. And I remember I was talking to some of my friends who lived in Kentucky, and they had never heard of Zika before, right? But it's because their news they weren't talking about it. They didn't need to know about it. Okay, so down here though, we were bombarded with all different kinds of news stories about about the Zika virus because it was happening around us, it was happening near us. All right. So again, proximity is a news value that refers to how close something is to you. If it's happening near you, you want to know about it because it'll most likely affect you. Okay. Prominence. Prominence refers to people who are famous. When people who are famous or well-known do things, we care about it. It becomes newsworthy. Us regular old folks, we do things every day and no one cares about it. But when a famous person does the same exact thing, it becomes news because they are a prominent figure in our society. We care what famous people are doing. Okay? Prominence. The bigger you are, the bigger the target. People are naturally curious about people who are famous or in positions of power. But they also have the power to make an event that may not be big news a big deal. Okay, we care about celebrities and politicians and other public figures. We care what they're doing, even if it's something as simple as going to Target. Okay. Here we have Megan Thee Stallion. Maybe you know who she is, but a lot of stuff blowing up in the news right now regarding her is her situation with Tory Lanez and the fact that he, shot her in the foot. The reality is that people experience, people get shot in America almost every day, but we don't hear about it on the news all the time. But when Megan Thee Stallion gets shot, we hear about it on the news all the time, right? Because she's a prominent figure in our society. She's famous. People want to know what's going on with Megan Thee Stallion, okay? Other examples, when Britney Spears shaved her head in 2007, it became huge national headlines. People shave their head every day, okay? If one of us decided to go shave our heads right now, no one would care, okay? But when Britney Spears, pop legend icon, does it, it becomes national news, okay? Maybe you know who this woman is in the bottom right-hand corner, Naya Rivera. She died recently, and we care about the deaths of celebrities because they're famous. We care about them. People die every single day. People die, but we don't hear about it all the time in the news, okay? But when a celebrity dies, someone like Naya Rivera, if you don't know who she is, she's from the show Glee, we care about it. Beyonce going to Target, okay? Beyonce going to Target, an everyday normal thing, right? Going to Target I go to Target at least twice a week, all right? But when Beyonce does it, it's national news. It makes the headlines. Oh, look at Beyonce shopping at Target. She's just like the rest of us, right? And of course, when Kanye West, when he tweets anything, it becomes news. All of us have tweeted something that probably is just doesn't really make sense, or we've all tweeted, right? But our tweets don't make national headlines. Kanye West tweets do, okay? Because these people are famous. So when I ask you guys to go out and find a news story that has a prominence news value, you're going to be looking for celebrity news stories. And if you watch Deco Drive, if you know what Deco Drive is, it's the entertainment news channel show that happens down here in South Florida. It's done by Channel 7. Deco Drive, all of those stories have a prominence news value to it. We only care that these things are happening to these people because they are famous. Conflict. We love conflict. Okay, conflict refers to being newsworthy because two or more people, entity, groups, or teams are opposing one another. People want to witness or know the outcome of the conflict. Okay, there aren't two sides to every conflict. Sometimes the conflict can be internal. Okay, but for the sake of this, this particular presentation, think of conflict as a battle between two or more people. Okay, so of course, great examples are the upcoming presidential election, Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. That has a conflict news value. Us people, we want to know how this conflict is going to end. We are just so naturally curious about conflicts that people find themselves in. Okay, of course, earlier in the year, it was last year, the beef between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. All right. This was huge headlines. Not only did it have a prominent news value to it, but people want to know how that issue was going to resolve. And in my hopes, I hope that they eventually do a collab together, because if Cardi B and Nicki Minaj did a collab together, it would be done. Everything would be done. The industry, everyone else should just hang it up, because Nicki and Cardi B would definitely shut it down. And of course, maybe you know about the situation that happened with Taylor Swift and Scooter Braun. This guy right here, Scooter Braun, he's the manager of Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. And of course, when that whole thing went down with Kanye and Taylor in 2016, Taylor was really mad at Scooter Braun because she felt Scooter Braun basically bullied her. So, then cut to this year, the beginning of this year, it was announced that Scooter Braun had bought the rights to Taylor Swift's music. And Scooter Braun posted online that he basically now owns Taylor Swift, and it blew up into this big whole thing, and people are still looking to see how this conflict is going to be resolved. Okay. Other examples, anything that has to do with sports has a conflict news value to it. Why? Because people want to know the conflict being that two different teams are battling out. people want to know how that game is going to end. Okay, what is the outcome of that game? What is the outcome of that conflict? People care about sports and the conflict that sports come with. So when you think of examples of conflict news values, you can easily find a news story regarding any game, any sport. Okay. All right. Novelty. Novelty. Novelty refers to how rare or unusual a news story is. So when something happens in the world that we don't always hear about, when it's something we don't usually hear about in the news, it has a novelty news value. Okay? For example, it means the story is intriguing or has an interesting spin to it. It's not something you hear every day. For example, cat saves baby. This was an actual news story that happened where a cat saved this little baby from being crushed by I think it was a brick or something like that. But any news story that happens that's just something we don't hear about all the time, people become interested in it because they want to know that this rare thing occurred. Okay. Other examples of novelty. This rescue owl was too fat to fly, so the sanctuary had to put her on a diet. It's very rare that we hear about owls being too fat to fly, right? So this has a novelty news value to it because it's not something we hear about all the time, all right? It's a rare occurrence that we see that an owl is so fat that it can't lift itself off the ground. And probably the easiest way to find an example of novelty is looking up any story having to do with Florida man. We have here, Florida man breaks into crocodile enclosure, leaves behind a pair of Crocs. I mean, come on. I've never heard of something like this being done before. Anything Florida man related has a novelty news value to it because it's something they're usually doing something we've never heard of or expected before. So anything regarding the Florida man is usually a novelty news value because we most of the time have never heard of that thing happening, like this situation here. Breaking into a crocodile enclosure and leaving behind a pair of Crocs. You know what? I'm done. Finally, my friends, usefulness. Usefulness. A story becomes newsworthy when it is useful for us to know about. When information that the public needs to navigate the world safely, efficiently, and economically. News stories that help keep us safe, help make us move about our day efficiently, and help us save money or, be more economically responsible throughout our days become newsworthy because they help us understand or navigate the world easily. Okay? Example, weather reports are examples of something that would have a useful news value. It is useful to us to know that it may be raining today so we can grab our umbrella. Health information. It's useful to know that there is a pandemic going on. Okay? Morning traffic reports. Morning traffic reports are useful to us because it helps us decide which way we're going to take to get to school or work today. Every single time public subs go on sale, I always see a news story about it. Okay? Because we as consumers want to know when products and services that we love, like Publix chicken tender sub, it's on sale. So when you see a news story about something being on sale or how you can save some money on doing something, you have now, that story has a usefulness news value to it. Okay, my friends, so those are the 8 news values. That is the lesson for today. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, send me a message through the Remind app, and right after this, you guys are done watching this, you're going to complete the assignment of the day, which is in the discussion section of Canvas. Tell me which news value do you think is most valuable to you? Which news value is most important to you and why? That's going to be the question you're going to answer in the Canvas discussion board. Thank you guys so much, and I look forward to seeing your responses. Have a great one. Bye.